Hello and welcome to AuditionPerform's second webinar on competition preparation. We're joined again by Gary Levinson, Senior Associate Principal Concertmaster of the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. Now, Gary, you have been preparing people for competitions for years. What problems do you come across that repeat themselves?
Oftentimes it's a matter of stamina. And one of the things that people kind of don't understand is that the reason that you're being asked to learn so much repertoire to play within 1 or 2 weeks in an international competition is that you want to give, the committee wants to be assured that if you win, or in our students' case, when they win, they will be prepared to play on the circuit right away, because there's a lot of excitement, a lot of marketing that goes after every international competition. So what we like to do is to make sure that they're prepared to play their sonatas, their recital programs, their concertos, and everything else through, because what oftentimes happens is you may have to play 2 concertos in one setting, in one afternoon. And that is something that in a concert performance rarely happens, but in a competition performance often happens. And what I try to tell my students is that you have to practice the stamina. You do need to have your pianist be prepared to play through 2 concertos in one sitting or standing. And you need to do that several times. It doesn't do us any good if the day before you're leaving for your competition, you're going to do your run through. That is virtually useless. You need to do that 6 months out. You need to do that 3 months out. You need to do that 3 weeks out, 1 week out. Have a big pizza party for your friends and play for them. So it's a very important thing that I think a lot of people neglect, because they expect that the adrenaline is going to start running and they'll do great. That may actually happen, but with great adrenaline often comes great imprecision. So we really don't want that. So what I would say, when you start preparing your first round program, and when it's at a certain level, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's at a certain level, invite your friends, invite your grandmother, play for them. Video that and study it. The study is as important as the run-through, because you'll see and hear things that other people won't. Conversely, you may feel like something was horrible, and you really can't hear that. And that's a very important piece of information, because if it feels horrible to you, and it doesn't really make much difference to the listener, sure, you want to avoid it, but don't sweat it. If, in fact, something is very small in your mind's eye, and then on a video it's distracting or something that really takes away from the music, you got to fix that before they see it and hear it.
So Gary, tell us, what are the panels looking for?
Well, to be absolutely serious about it, every panel is different. I can tell you, I've had experiences where very famous soloists and conductors would ask for the most asinine things. I can't tell if that's political or they really think that way, but I also think that the candidate has to be themselves. The candidate cannot play, for jury member number 15 because they think that's what he or she wants. In the end, you have to be sincere about your work, and it might not work out. That's one of the problems and great frustrations with international competitions. By the way, nothing new. This was true starting with the great David Oistrakh, when he thought he got completely gypped at the 1935, I think, Vivignowski competition when Erika Marini won. So, I mean, or was it Ginette Nouveau? We might have to check my memory here because I'm not sleeping enough. But the idea is that oftentimes people prefer people for valid or invalid reasons, and you cannot go into a competition expecting the best candidate to win. What you should expect is your best playing, and then the chips fall where they may.
So you can't take it personally, and I imagine it's a numbers game. Keep going, right? Keep applying for the competitions. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and if that doesn't work out, feel it.
Exactly. I think the most important thing is, how is your playing improving from competition to competition? What feedback, if you get some, from jury members? And many times they'll tell you after. It's unethical for them to speak to you during, but many times they'll tell you after some very constructive criticism. And by the way, I've heard that happen to winners, especially to winners, when they said, look, you're number one. It doesn't mean you're number one in the world. You were number one this week. So if you want to really survive, you need to do this, this, and this. So I think it's very important to keep the whole thing in perspective. It's not a zero-sum game, and there's two sides to every coin. Look, the truth is there are many competition winners who have had no careers. And there are conversely many second and third prize winners who have persevered and had wonderful careers. And there's the third element where there have been some soloists we know very well who have never even entered a competition. So you kind of have to choose your own journey and understand the risks of both. But if you're going to enter a competition, get the best of your playing out there.
And if you are lucky enough to win one of these competitions, what can you then expect? What happens after that, trophy is given to you and everybody pats you on the back and probably a bit hungover the next morning?
Totally.
What then happens? What's the process?
It depends on the competition, but basically you're going to play a lot more than you ever thought you were going to play. I think most competitions will give you 1 year's worth of competition management. Many will give you up to 3. A recording, debuts in important concert halls. So it's an entree into the classical music world. The rest is up to the candidate. I think one of the things that a lot of people, and they would say the same looking back on it, there's no way that you can learn enough concertos once you're in the quote-unquote circuit to really make it effective. You can once you're in the circuit for 10, 12 years, yes. But it's very difficult to go on your 3-month post-gold medal tour and say, oh, well, on Sunday I'll learn the Tchaikovsky. You got to have it under your belt long before then. So it's one of those things where you can expect chaos, late reservations, hotel rooms that are not ready, and you still have to play well because nobody really cares how you got there. They only care about what you do when you're standing there on stage. But it's also tremendously exciting, and it's kind of like a key to a world that you just can't get a key to very easily, if you will. And it's just something that's really, really exciting. So I think it's what we all work towards, even though it's not easy and it's not easy to go through. It's never smooth sailing, but I think the end result after the concert is very satisfying.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today, Gary. It's been brilliant hearing from you, and I can't wait for AuditionPerform this summer in Chichester. We're going to have a whole week of your handy tips. It's going to be brilliant. Thank you very much for joining me today.